Hello, this is Soteria, and in this video we're going to look at how to use choke points to gain a tactical advantage. In this first scenario we're going to set up an ambush. You'll notice I have survival to see what's on the other side of the door, and I have some traps set up to stop the werewolves as soon as they come through. What you want to do here is to keep the enemy in the kill zone for as long as possible. As you may know, werewolves can be pretty dangerous, and you definitely don't want them getting loose and just overwhelming people willy-nilly. Right now, I'm just trying to be patient and let more of the werewolves build up in the kill zone. Once most of the enemy has gotten stuck in the doorway, it's time for your group to move in and lay down the damage. This is a great time for you to use any sort of area of effect attacks you have. Forcing the enemy to group up in the doorway like this makes it much easier to use your area of effect spells to their full potential. The next scenario we're going to look at is using Glyph of Repulsion to block a doorway. The main reason this works so well is that you don't need a line of sight with your target to cast spells like Blizzard or Inferno. I'm going to set my two warriors right in the doorway as a backup because I know from experience that those pesky Mabari pretty much always make it through. Also, after the glyph wears off, there's always the option of using Warcry or two-handed weapon sweep to keep on knocking the enemies back. Right now, you're basically in a race to see if you can kill off the enemy before the Glyph of Repulsion wears off. Keep on laying down as much damage as possible. Just bear in mind that Inferno and Blizzard don't mix, and Storm of the Century has a huge radius. Once the Glyph wears off, Cone of Cold and Mind Blast can be used to buy yourself a few more seconds if you need them. Just have your warriors taunt if anyone does get through. Also, Affliction Hex can be used on someone in the crowd to take them down that much faster. And if you haven't used Glyph of Repulsion before, I highly recommend it. It's amazingly fun. The final situation we're going to look at is chaining multiple crowd control abilities to keep a dangerous enemy away. But first what we're going to do is take care of these two goons all by themselves. Whenever you have this opportunity, it's best to break the enemy into smaller, more manageable groups. There's no need to make it harder on yourself by rushing headlong into a large group of enemies. Once the crowd has been thinned as much as you can, it's time to move on in. Anytime you see a mage, try to kill him first. Overwhelm works great for this, so does Crushing Prison. Safety in numbers and all that. Right now I'm just going to have Morgan run like a little girl until she can get somewhere more defensible. And now it's time to start laying down some crowd control spells. You'll notice that I don't have any of the big ticket primal spells. That's because in a melee group like this, they're almost more dangerous to myself than they are to the enemy. As I said before, I'm trying to chain multiple forms of crowd control in sequence, so I'm really not in a hurry to break that sleep effect. To me, the temptation right now is to rush in and use a lot of big attacks, but I think in the long run you're better off just being patient. Once these guys die, it's time to move down to the ones on the slope. I often forget to use these grenades, but you shouldn't overlook them because they do a pretty good amount of damage, and they each have their own separate cooldown. And now as I cast Cone of Cold, I'm using pretty much my last big crowd control spell. Fortunately, everything is pretty much dead already, and is able to keep most of my health intact at the same time. Now obviously I'm running with a pretty optimum group for this, but hopefully you can see how to apply these concepts to different situations and different group makeups. That's really all I have on this one. I hope I didn't bore you to tears. If I did, I apologize. Otherwise, just have a good day.